Hello again, everybody. I hope that you enjoyed drawing the different categories of animals and the threefold human this week, and also learning the Unstooping poem by Walter de la Mare. And so today, we're also going to be telling the story of the eagle. And I love this story because I think eagles are just one of the coolest animals. And it just so happens that when I was just a little bit older than you, I had a really neat experience with an eagle. So here's my story. So when I was about 13, I think it was around the beginning of 8th grade, I got off the bus after school one day, and my bus driver let me off at the bottom of my driveway every day. And then it was about 1/3 of a mile all the way down this long gravel. It was really just a very short road. 1/3 of a mile down this gravel road and back up the hill again to my house. And I was walking along, enjoying my walk after school. And I got to, the road kind of went around a corner and then it went down a hill, and then the hill came back up and my house was on top of the hill. And at the bottom of the hill, my neighbor's driveway split off this way, and they had a trout pond here. Big pond, lots of trout in there that you could actually catch and eat. It was really cool. But they had a problem with birds of prey catching trout out of their pond because it was really easy pickings for herons and eagles and osprey. And we saw the herons and the osprey quite a bit, but the eagles were a bit more shy, and they didn't like to come around a place with that many people. But on this day, I got to the bottom of the hill where the trout pond was, and all of a sudden I felt like I was being watched, which, if you've ever felt that, it's a little bit of an eerie feeling. And I looked around, and I was the only kid who had gotten off the bus that day. My neighbor kids were not walking with me. Nobody else was out in the fields or anything. And I looked up to my left, and up in the top of this big Douglas fir tree next to the trout pond, there is a male bald eagle. And he must have been sitting up there looking down in the pond and trying to choose a nice fat trout to catch. But he heard me coming down the road, and so he had turned to look at me. And I looked up at the top of this Douglas fir tree, and this eagle stared right back at me. And I don't know if you've ever gotten to go to Wildlife Images or the Raptor Center in Eugene or anything like that and seen an eagle up close, but they have these big golden eyes, and they're set, just a far apart in their head, so really like they turn their head and you can only see one eye at a time. And he turned that big golden eye upon me, and this was the closest I had ever been to a bald eagle. Usually you see them flying way up in the sky, or you're looking through binoculars and seeing them off on a tree somewhere, but this guy was right in front of me in this tree, probably about 30 feet up in the tree. And we just sat there and stared at each other for a good 5 or 10 minutes. And I can tell as he's looking at me with those piercing golden eyes, and it was just like he could see right through me, like he could see the cells in my body, because his eyes just looked so sharp, like they could see every little thing. And I could kind of tell that he's looking down out of this tree, and he's trying to figure out what I'm all about and why this human is staring up at him. And, he must have been thinking, is this kid a hunter? Are they going to hurt me? Or are they just a kid, and are they safe after all? And he didn't fly away. He wasn't scared. He was just trying to figure out what I was all about. And so after a few minutes, I figured I should probably keep walking because my horses were standing up at the top of the hill, and they were looking at me because it was almost their dinner time and they didn't want me to be late. So I eventually said goodbye to Mr. Eagle and I walked up the hill to my house. But I have never forgotten that really amazing experience with an eagle that I had. So an eagle has a very sharp sense of sight. And I don't know if you've ever seen an eagle dive for a fish or seen a video of eagles hunting, but they can spot a mouse scurrying through a field of grass from way up high in the sky. They can see that movement with their sharp eyes. Or they can be flying over a lake or a trout pond. And far down below, they can see those fish swimming under the rippling surface of the water. And their eyesight is accurate enough that they can dive down and catch that fish. And they also, in addition to their very sharp eyes, they have very sharp ears as well. They can hear that mouse as well as see it scurrying through the grass. And they can hear the sounds of danger coming so that they know to protect their chicks or to protect themselves from hunters or predators, even though it is illegal to hunt bald eagles. Some people still do it, unfortunately. But they have sharp ears to hear that danger coming. Now, an eagle also has strong wings and talons. It has a lot of strengths in its body, but its main strengths come from its head and those sharp senses that it has. So that's why we think of it more as a head or as a sensing animal. Because if it didn't have those sharp senses, if it only had the strong wings and strong talons, it would not be nearly as effective of a hunter. Because without those eyes and ears, it wouldn't be able to hear and see what it's trying to hunt as well. So like an eagle, most of our senses come from our head. We have our eyes to see with, we have our ears to hear, our noses to smell, and our mouths to taste and to speak. And although our senses aren't as sharp as an eagle's, they're still pretty good. Now, an eagle doesn't have a very sharp sense of smell or of taste, so that's why its hearing and its sight are so well developed. So we humans, we're more of a balanced creature, of course. So we have these 5 senses that we can rely on. And that's why our senses aren't as sharp as most animals, but we have more of these senses to kind of give us a bigger picture of the world around us. So, the next time that you see an eagle, I want you to think of those sharp eyes and those sharp ears that help it to gather information about the world that it lives in, and that help it to be the hunter that it is and the majestic creature that we can all enjoy. And I want you to think about the ways that you relate to an eagle and how you use your own senses to enjoy the world around you. Okay, good to see you, my eagle-eyed herons. Does that make sense? I will see you next time.